and welcome.
That's not funny.
Oh, and the world's going crazy!
Stop, drop, and talk.
We've got no time for bullshit!
Stop, drop, and talk. With Ava, RJ, and B-Rock. It's Stop, drop, and talk.
Has nothing to say.
It is! It's season 3, everybody! What's going on? Yeah! Welcome to season 3 of Stop, Drop, and Talk. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm RJ Hale, and with me as always is the incredible, the beautiful, the talented. You know her, you love her. Here she is. It's Eva Steele!
It's me. You guys, it feels so fucking good to be back. That felt like the longest hiatus ever.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be back. We have so much to catch up on, so much to talk about. We have an incredible guest tonight, Lou Brutus, joining us.
Lou Brutus.
Before we get to all that, we've got a ton of stuff to do, and I want to check in with B-Rock. How you been, buddy?
I'm good, man. Good. It's good to see you guys. I mean, I saw Eva last night. She had a show, Dirty Sexy Riot. That was awesome. I also noticed, RJ, did you just get a new soundboard or something? Because I heard an echo I haven't heard before.
Oh, I've got all kinds of brand new sound effects. Oh, so many in the bank right here. I can't wait to...
The best thing about that last sound effect was we just did like a quick little check-in with Lou before the show, and RJ hit that button, and Lou's like, that was not me.
I'm just going to slip that in when there's an awkward silence somewhere.
That's what she said. He said.
That's a good idea.
How was your couple weeks off, guys?
Months. What?
Was it months?
It was like 2.
Eva, how was your time off?
Busy. I sold my business. We started coming up with ideas for the podcast. We put together a local gig that B-Rock got to come to last night. And yeah, just busy. What about you guys? RJ, you're back in the studio, right?
Yeah, I'm back in the studio working on some stuff. I also saw that B-Rock came to your show last night. So that's pretty cool. Dirty Sexy Riot, right? You guys did a show last night. Awesome. Super exciting. I wish I could have been there, but I'm way too far away. But I can't wait to actually see you live someday.
June, that's our next the next one at the venue we did it at. We're going to be doing more before that, but
that's exciting, man. Lots going on. Yeah, Hailstorm's in the studio. Been doing some stuff with my buddy Taylor. Got this other kind of music project that we're doing, so keep an eye out for all that. So it's exciting stuff on the horizon.
That is exciting. B-Rock, what have you been up to?
I'm looking forward to it. You know, I've been having a little bit of fun. Planet Fitness opened again, so I've been working out. They have kind of this safe way of doing it here in South Dakota, so that's been fun. I went skiing and I didn't break anything, so that was pretty cool.
That is good.
Yeah,
I'm glad you didn't break anything.
Yeah, just having fun, working away.
Not that we really need your limbs on this show. We just need you to be able to talk and think.
I don't want to be in like a full body cast. So
like, hey guys, I'm back. Season 3. All right.
So speaking of what everybody's been up to, our producer Dan produced Kiss's biggest show of their career in Dubai at the Atlantis, the Kiss 2020 Dubai, live at the Atlantis, and it had an insane amount of streams. I want to say like over 20 million. How many was it, Dan?
It's Dan, everybody.
How many what?
Streams.
Oh, we don't know the final numbers, but it wasn't that many. It wasn't 20 million. That would be beyond record breaking. But I mean, it was really, we really taped it for a DVD and for the movie theaters, which they'll be in the theaters in May, and then late May, early June, the DVD will come out. But yeah, that was a pretty insane. Nice. That's how I spent my break. So I didn't have a break. I worked right through it. In fact, I worked harder than ever. So that was definitely an interesting experience.
I got to say, there's something about, I've known Dan for years, and he posted this video on Facebook when they were kind of testing the pyro, and this evil laugh came out that I had never heard before. Like it was an exciting evil laugh.
Oh,
hey, he's having fun.
First of all, we weren't testing it. That was actually the finale. And we had this concept because, we broke 2 world records for the most pyro ever used in a concert event. But we didn't we didn't know if it was going to be safe because it was an astronomical amount. It was well over $1 million of just flames. But we obviously, for that kind of money, we couldn't test it. So we really didn't know how it would look or how it would come out. And it was so utterly insane when the fireworks were going off. They put it this way. The firework company was a French company. When they came to me, we have this great show for you, 20 minutes, and they're laying it all out. I'm like, no. And I showed them the 4th of July of Macy's, and I said, see this? I want this in 3 minutes. And they said, when I go put it on, just blow everything up for 3. So they took the entire 25-minute show and they put it into one song. So we just blew shit up like crazy for 3.5, 4 minutes. But it was the thing that Brock's talking about, it was so loud that I couldn't even direct. We were inside the TV truck, and it was just, the only thing you heard was it sounded like Fallujah. I mean, it was just boom, boom. I mean, it was utterly insane. And we couldn't even see the band. The flames were so high and there was smoke. So we just sat back and we just started laughing as the cameras were going because it was just nuts.
Wow.
So,
well, it looked
Good for
awesome.
you, man.
Yeah, that was one of the shots.
That is pretty
Be
crazy.
sure to be on the lookout for that in theaters in May.
Hey.
There will be a DVD coming out. Like they said, they broke world records.
Yeah.
It's insane. We watched all of Dan's posts as all of this was happening, and this is not something you guys are going to want to miss. That is for sure. So
Have a good show, guys.
Proud.
We
of you.
Worth
will.
all the
So
sleepless
speaking-
nights in Dubai.
Speaking of insane, did you guys? I know everybody's talking about it. That girl that gorilla glued her hair.
Oh, that sounds like a topic for some fucks given. Let's do
Get into
it.
it.
All right, where is it? Come on now. Oh wow, I'm having some malfunctions here. Where's my some fucks given? Where's my? There it is.
Some people got many and others have none. We're all going crazy, so come and get one. It's some Thanksgiving.
Already having technical difficulties. I love it. It's a live show, everybody.
Jessica Brown, this poor girl, was out of glue for her hair because a lot of ethnic people need glue, whether it be for a wig or a weave or whatever, or just to get their hair to lay down nice. Like there's so many different things that go into it. This girl was out of it and thought, you know what? I got Gorilla Glue. It's cool.
You know, okay, so this is what I found out. She thought that it was Gorilla Snot, which is an actual hair product.
Is that for
That's
real?
what I heard. That's what I heard. Like she thought it was
Okay, I
Gorilla
didn't hear
Snot
that.
and then got Gorilla Glue by mistake. And are they different?
Well, it
But
also,
also,
said that
why
she
would you-
went from, it said she went from got to be glued to Gorilla Glue, which I guess kinda
Yeah.
sounds similar.
Yeah, got
Oh,
to be
maybe it was-
something you buy at Walmart. Because I was gonna say
Maybe it was
Gorilla
that. Maybe it was got to be glued. I thought it was Gorilla Snot. I don't know. That's what I heard.
That is hilarious.
But
So,
here's the yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
oh, she's got a full-time agent now out of the whole deal.
Yeah, that's crazy. She raised more than $20,000 on her GoFundMe to like go to a doctor and get it surgically removed, and then the doctor ended up treating her for free. And at first, I was like, that little like scheming little, and then I found out that she donated all the money to the Restore Foundation for reconstructive surgery, which is a reconstructive surgery nonprofit, which is actually pretty cool. So you know what? More power to you. Thank you. You did the right
That,
thing.
yeah.
That was actually even started. I believe it was a charity that her plastic surgeon has.
Yes, that's right.
So that's actually really cool. The funniest thing to me is that Gorilla Glue on their Twitter released a statement. Yeah.
we didn't say this, but don't
So
use
hilarious.
it.
But do
Oh
not
my
use
God.
our products on your fucking hair. Like,
So we've all done extremely stupid accidental things like this, but hers is pretty extreme. But it does remind me when I was a kid and I was spending the night at a friend's house and we woke
What? Yeah.
up and-
What happened there? You told me the story.
Yeah, they wanted to take us, usually you spend the night at your friend's house, you go home in the morning. They wanted to take us to breakfast or lunch. So I went into their bathroom and I was going to put some toothpaste in my mouth quick and swish around. And I grabbed this cream and it came out of my mouth like brown. And I'm not shitting you, like it was hemorrhoid cream or something. It's like
Oh
some
my
ass cream. I'll never
God.
forget that.
Oh, that
It's not
sounds
as bad as
awful.
Gorilla glue on your head, that's for sure. My gosh.
Ooh. That sounds gross.
well, I mean, I guess we've all had mishaps. I've never actually done that. Like, use a product that I thought was something else. The only thing I've almost actually done, and this isn't even that bad, is like going to use a spray root lifter for your hair before you blow dry it instead of a hairspray. Like your hair's completely done and you go to spray it with hairspray. And then if you accidentally spray it with that foam, then you got to start
Oh, God.
all over.
Oh man, that's crazy. Ugh. All right, well then, I'm glad that was remedied. I'm glad that she did the right thing with all that money.
Yeah.
But Hey, the other thing we have on the dock is the Framing Britney Spears documentary. And to my knowledge, you guys all watched it, right?
Oh, God. I watched it. I know, B-Rock, you watched it too, right?
I did watch it, yeah.
I watched it last night, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. About according to the documentary, about her father's conservatorship, right?
Yes, and he actually was recently just, I believe this last week, removed.
Yeah, he got denied of it, right?
Yeah, denied the continuance of being her conservator, if I remember correctly. But
no, they only took him off the financial part of it. He's still a co-conservator.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you, Dan. That's why we have Dan around.
Clarification. Also, I have
I love your free Britney shirt.
Yep, on my shirt.
Woo! Look at that, free Britney.
Nice. I forgot to wear mine. Damn it.
Yeah, well, obviously something is going on with this poor girl. If anybody follows her Instagram, if you watch past interviews with her versus the way she is now, there is something not right. And Jamie Lynn, her sister, just basically released a warning to the media to be cautious in how they deal with celebrities, because that's ultimately what led to her breakdown in 2007 was being basically smothered by the media.
Yeah. And this was like peak tabloid era, and so many people were just getting rich off of her.
Well, and it was mostly.
I'm sorry. Oh, just saying that like so many people were making so much money off of her, but most of the money came off of her misery. Like they were basically causing so much mental trauma by just harassing her constantly and causing so much psychological abuse. And she was kind of the guinea pig of that era, where like no one had really like experienced that. So I'm sure she had no idea how to deal with it, and nobody really understood what was going through that. And the other thing that I felt was kind of weird was I just saw Justin Timberlake go up on there kind of talking about how like the chauvinism in the entertainment world, how Britney was being crucified. Yeah. Well, he apologized because, for so many years, Britney was being crucified, and Justin just got off pretty much unscathed. And he kind of rose to superstardom from that Crimea River video. And then everybody was like, "Oh, Britney was what?" It was really weird.
What a terrible psychotic person. Right. But here's the other thing too: is like this was before the social media. There wasn't this gigantic social media presence of celebrities, so people would get their news about celebrities through tabloids. And now that's not really if you think about it, tabloids are starting to slowly die out just a little bit, because celebrities are on their own social media talking about their own shit. They don't need people to do it for them now.
Well, to the Justin Timberlake point too, I mean, there was a point in the documentary where somebody had interviewed Britney when Justin came out and said, "Look, basically she did something wrong." And they kind of took it as Britney, what did you do wrong? And they didn't go on the other side. Right. They didn't go on the other side and be like, what happened? Was it mutual? I don't know. That kind of caught my.
That's gotcha journalism.
About that when I was younger.
Yeah, right. So. That was just really weird.
And Britney, growing up, especially, as when she hit superstardom, I was in middle school.
Yeah.
And so she was an idol. And so to watch all of this kind of unfold has been really, really sad. And now, I'm in my 30s and watching all this, it's a totally different perspective. You actually feel really bad for her. And you're starting to be like, well, man, think about it. I'm a mom and all of that stuff. And if I had cameras in my face 24/7, being a mom or scrutinizing every move I made, I would lose my fucking mind too.
It's so funny because I brought this up on the last season. I was just like, man, I've been just thinking lately about the whole Britney Spears thing. And, I mean, even we Hailstorm, me and my sister, we were guilty of kind of jumping on that bandwagon. Oh, she's crazy. Oh, she's a fake pop star manufactured by blah, blah, blah. And I think that the positive thing is that now more people are being more and more aware of mental illness and about mental trauma that can cause to get to this point cognitively, and you can see her slowly deteriorating and suffering and just trying to live her life, and people are up her shit with cameras, and it's just
constantly
all the time. I mean, even in interviews they say there's convoys of 20 cars with photographers in it. Not the kiss. Oops. Ooh. Yeah, that's what you get, Dan. Anyway,
But honestly, how would you guys feel?
I'm rusty. Leave me alone.
Yeah, season 1.
Okay.
How do you think you guys would react to that? Because when I was watching that with all the paparazzi, like my fists were cringing. Like I was getting angry because I couldn't put up with that. There's no way.
I got a glimpse of that when I did Shiprocked this year, because Shiprocked is a very concentrated 5-day. It's everyone's on a boat, and it's like the most hardcore fans that pay top dollar to like basically see their bands and basically hang out with them. But like, even for like, I enjoyed it. I loved it. Like, but after 5 days of like not even being able to go from my room to like, get something to eat without like taking an hour worth of selfies with people, like and I enjoyed it, but like after 5 days, I was like, that's a lot. But like Britney's a person that has like, that's a 24/7 thing for her. That must be just like exhausting.
Even, like,
right.
When I used to travel a lot with another group and all this stuff, and we're not going to get into all that, but the weirdest place that I ever was approached was the bathroom. I was in a stall trying to use the restroom.
Freaky.
And like nobody, unless you were at this festival to see specific people, nobody knows who the fuck I am. And so for somebody to stop me in a bathroom, which is the most inappropriate place in the history of ever, by the way, don't do that. If you run into a celebrity that you want to meet, not saying I am, but if you run into somebody you want to meet, do not do that in a bathroom. It's tacky.
That must have connected with you. You saw in the documentary, like I think one of the more famous moments was when she was in a CVS bathroom and she walked out and it's just photographers everywhere. I'm just like, that would just like
no shoes.
Like, imagine that times up like 1,000. Dude,
it's even like those Eminem lyrics. What is it like? I can't take a shit in the bathroom without somebody standing by it.
Yeah, and Britney was getting that even more, and it just
can't even imagine. I cannot imagine the level of stress and scrutiny that she was under. Like, that poor girl.
Speaking of, I'm really glad to see that there's more awareness about that and more sympathy towards her nowadays, rather than
more forgiveness
back in the days when we were just kind of just like, oh, she's crazy, she's goofy, But
I'm
now it's like, oh no.
I'm gonna call this right now. This Free Britney documentary or whatever is coming out. People are starting to do their research. They're starting to see all these things. They're starting to have sympathy for her. She is about to make a massive comeback, and I mean like bigger than anybody can imagine. I'm going to call that right now.
I mean, she hasn't really gone away though. I mean, she just came out with an album not too long ago, I think. But you're right. Like, this is probably going to be a huge. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it did as well as it wasn't as big as like When the World Ends or whatever. Free Britney!
I think she could. But you think there's something in the back of her head that's like, I don't want that huge, like, keep me out of the spotlight for a while?
Well, according to her Instagram, she said she's enjoying normal life right now. So that could be very true too.
She also said that she's like not going to perform until like she has full conservatorship back, like full ownership.
Well, okay, but if you read into that and the things that the media or articles are alleging is that she's saying she will not perform until her dad is no longer a conservator, because she's terrified of her dad, according to these news docs. Whether or not that's true, who knows? But speaking of scrutiny and being under the public eye, you guys heard about Morgan Wallen recently, right?
No,
jeez, yes.
God, that was.
Look at that.
That mullet is like, I'm sorry, man. I saw him release an apology video for like what he did, but I mean, I don't know, man. I have been, trust me, like you can only blame the alcohol so far, really. I mean, I have been drunk before, and I have had my fair share of that. But if like in your deep subconscious vocabulary, that word exists and just comes out, like there's more of a problem there. That's just me.
So for those that don't know, Morgan Wallen used the derogatory word for colored people, African-American people, that you do not use.
Nope.
You do not use. His neighbor got it on film. He was on his own property in his driveway. And as a result, his label has suspended him indefinitely. He's also been dropped by over 400 radio stations nationwide. But RJ, you said Apple and Spotify have not dropped him yet.
No, Spotify and Apple have not removed him, but though he has been, you're right, he's been pulled from radio. He was dropped by his label and management. He was barred from the CMA Awards. Spotify and Apple, though, I searched it today on Spotify, and he's still there. And the sad thing is that his sales have skyrocketed since this whole thing, and it just just seemed really disturbing to me. Like, why is that? Is it because people hadn't heard about him until now and they're like curious?
Well, I think there's two sides to this. I think that it's people that like haven't heard of him, pulled it up, listened to his music, and they were like, oh wow, this is like, he's actually really good, because he's talented. But the other side of that too is, are people getting sick of the cancel culture? Like, how many mistakes have we all made in our lives? You know what I mean? And like, unfortunately,
not one that went that far. Not that I know of.
No, not like that. But unfortunately, as a public figure, you do something like that and you can lose everything you have worked your entire life for overnight, which is what appears is happening to him. Now, the plus side of this is that the songwriter that wrote his song Cover Me Up, because his album has gone #1 for a 4th week, basically, because of, I think this is all kind of adding to that. The songwriter for Cover Me Up, Jason Isbell, is donating all of his songwriting royalties to the NAACP Nashville chapter, which for people that don't know what that is, that's the National Association for Advancement of Colored People. So like, the songwriter's trying to make it right. I think he's more than embarrassed to be associated with somebody that has used that term, which I cannot even believe that is a word that would even come out of anybody's mouth, regardless of situation.
Right. Eva, you just talked about it. Me being one that, when we had kind of decided we were going to talk about this topic, the first thing I did is I went and I Googled his name and I listened to a couple songs after I read about him, just because I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I think some of that is going on, but
I'll admit I'd never heard of him until now. I'm not a close follower of country, but I mean, this has also happened before. Like, there was backlash against Lil Nas X for Old Town Road when that came out. There was the backlash against like restricting Confederate flags at NASCAR. So like, is there a correlation between his music sales and the problem that we're having here with like racial issues? And I guess that's just the question. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that, but
I think that's
TBD, either way,
but I think a lot of that is like, you've heard the term typecasting. Unfortunately, like, people see him with his mullet and his plaid shirts with the ripped off sleeves, and they automatically assume that he's probably rocking a Confederate flag with rifles in the back window of his truck. More than likely not true. However, his behavior like this just goes to show, like, okay, so is that what this is about? Like, is he one of those Confederate flag? You know what I mean? Like, there's just assumptions that can be made left and right. And
look, I've had my gripes with cancel culture and people throwing people under the bus who don't deserve to be thrown under the bus for mistakes that they've made. But this is a pretty big mistake. And but this also isn't the first time he's been in trouble. Apparently, he got cut from SNL because of the video that went out of him drinking and partying and randomly making out with women in Nashville during the pandemic. During the pandemic, and I'm just like, okay, like, sorry, man. Like, you kind of have a history of like, fucking up. So I don't know.
He like you said earlier, RJ. I think he's like 9 months sober now or something, right?
Yeah. So
and,
I mean,
apologizing being sober, I mean, whatever, but you have to follow through with that, because everything he's done that's a mistake is always drunk. So he's got to obviously fix that. He's got a problem somewhere else.
Well, and not only that, he hasn't quite grasped yet that, hey, buddy, as a public figure, there are things you cannot do, and stepping into this role as a country singer or a national recording artist, you have those are sacrifices you have to make, like, lifestyle changes so that shit like this doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the whole typecasting thing. Like, if you're going to put out that image, you need to make it so abundantly clear and obvious that like you're not that kind of person that's going to behave that way. And,
exactly.
And because of this incident, we've seen that, okay, well, then he probably is. And that's not to say that he doesn't deserve to do the right thing. And I wish nothing but the best for his health. I hope that he remains sober and he is able to fix himself and better himself. But at the same time, when you fuck up, you still deserve to be held accountable for it.
Get the wrath a little bit.
Yep.
You know.
Well, I think it's time to head into our next segment there.
How about we do something fun? Are you down with that, Eva?
I'm down. Let's do it.
Because we forgot to mention it was just Valentine's Day. So I felt it was a really good idea for this episode for us to do a little bit of an Eva After Hours segment. Are you down? Let's play the song. Oh, there it goes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's Eva After Hours.
Look at her face. That's still makes you uncomfortable, huh?
My chair's cool with it. Don't worry.
It's fine. I'll get used to that song eventually. It's fine. Like
my favorite song.
Okay.
So what do you got for us this week, E?
So yesterday was Valentine's Day. I know a lot of people are super into Love Day and, chocolates and flowers and dates and I love you posts, which by the way, the hashtag Valentine's challenge on Facebook made me want to puke. I don't give a fuck how you met. I don't care. Love each other every day. Why does there have to be one day that everybody posts about this and like does all these things and makes a big deal out of it? Now, I also talk to so many girlfriends that are like, okay, well, we try not to celebrate Valentine's Day either because my partner and I always get in a huge fight. You want to know why that is? It's because of expectations.
Ooh, expectations.
Expectations, they're too high. Expectations are way too high. So it's like if you're hoping, for some big grand gesture, like you should probably mention to your significant other your obsession with the holiday or plant little things about like things you love about the holiday or things you wish would happen on the holiday, because men are not mind readers. Even half the time when you tell a man something or a partner or whatever, I'm using a man just because I have one,
sorry about that.
you can say something like, hey, you know what? I really love this. And they're like, uh-huh. And they don't actually hear you. So you got to kind of start planting those little bugs if you want to set those expectations. And men, this goes for you. Listen, just be open. Listen, make your woman feel heard, make your partner feel heard. That's part of the communication issue. Even if you don't get them something big, get them something modest. And it doesn't have to be just on the day of Valentine's Day. I think that's where the biggest disappointment is. I think make a week out of it. And it doesn't have to be big, extravagant gifts. Like you go to the convenience store, pick up her favorite snack. Just simple things like that. Like any small gesture, like even if you're dating somebody who claims they don't need or want anything for Valentine's Day, they'll still be touched that you thought of them, which kind of goes, for that. And also Valentine's Day is not the time to bring up past grievances. You cannot hold grudges against them for things that they have done that you are irritated for in the relationship. That's not the time to do it. Either do it before or hold your tongue and save it for after, because that, motherfuckers, is how you ruin Valentine's Day once again. And like I said, the whole thing, go celebrate during the week. It doesn't have to be just the day. Like I said, pick her up a small bouquet of flowers on a Monday, grab a snack on a Tuesday. If it's something so RJ, I'm going to use you as an example, and I don't know how you and Emily run things at the house.
Okay. I'll try.
Say that Emily's the one that always gets up in the morning to let Oreo out, your dog. And she's always the one that cooks breakfast and always does that. Take that week, you get up early and let that dog out.
That's right. And
vice versa.
It's so funny. You totally read my mind because that was kind of what we did. I was so busy all week in the studio, and our weekend was our only chance to be together. So, I could have gone to Kroger and got a bunch of flowers and hearts and stuff, but she preferred that we just hang out. But on Sunday it was man, I really should have got her something. So today it started sleeting in Nashville. The weather went like, but not as bad as South Dakota, but it's definitely cold here and it's dangerous to drive. So I was like, well, fuck, I can't drive to the store now. So I literally just like while she was taking a nap, I walked like maybe a half a mile all bundled up to the gas station, and I got the very last Little Debbie's heart-shaped cake, and I got her, and she loves like those like the holiday themed Reese's. They didn't have hearts, but they had Easter eggs.
Those are my
so I got like so I made like this little plate of like treats and stuff, and she was like, it was just like a little thing. And she gave me a nice cart and a card and everything, But you're right, like it was just very simple, and luckily, like she's not, she doesn't have extravagant expectations.
Well, and that's just it. It's just small gestures, and like people obviously throughout your relationship need to know that they're appreciated, that they're valued, and that they are heard. Those are the 3 biggest relationship killers. If you don't feel appreciated, valued, heard, I'm going to throw in respected in that last one. Those are the 4 things. And even just something as small and simple as like, hey, I know this is your favorite candy. I was at the grocery store. I picked this up for you. Like just something sweet like that. And just exactly what you did. And Dan keeps throwing up these fucking images.
Pay attention to
extravagant Valentine's days. Like that is okay. First of all, that's not my jam. Second of all, if anybody follows my social media knows how anti-Valentine's Day I am, I fucking hate it.
But anti-Valentine's Day Brock is.
Yeah, with his fuck Cupid sign.
I
absolutely hate Valentine's Day. I think it's a totally commercialized holiday. However, if you are going to celebrate it, those are my top tips for you. Don't fuck it up. It's actually super simple. Don't overthink it. There you have it.
Well, thank you, Eva. That was Eva After Hours, everybody. Let's play the outro song real quick. Hang on, I just want to play it.
Eva After Hours.
Oh, yeah, indeed. Thank you, Eva. That was very nice.
You are so welcome. On that note, is there somebody at the door?
I think so. And I believe it's time for our guest to And at the door this week, we have Lou Brutus! Yeah!
Mr. Lou.
Brutus! Lou Brutus!
Welcome.
Come on down.
Don't sue us, CBS.
How y'all doing? It's good to see you.
Good to see you, Lou. It's been too long, man.
Yeah, no, it's well, even when you take the last 10 to 12 months out of the equation, I hadn't seen you for a little time before that. I think since you guys played Rockfest in Cadott, Wisconsin, maybe the summer before that. Either way, it's been a long time. It's good to be here.
That's good to have you, man. Lou, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad. I was just saying, I love how like the touring community kind of has become a little bit like the podcasting community because now we all have podcasts. And I love the fact that we can have you on our show and we can all be in this together, this community together. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see how things have unfolded. We were talking before you guys went on the air that I think what the pandemic has done, not just for the rock and the music world, but for business in general in Europe, the US, Australia, Japan, I think it's moved up working from home by a good 10 to 15 years. Everybody can see what's possible. So, I'm able to do all of my media stuff from home. I've been set up for, at least 10 years to be able to do all this stuff, but it's really sort of expanded. And, now rock stars know that they can do full promo tours without leaving their own homes. So,
right. I'm in my pajamas still.
Stuff,
Would you say, Lou, that it maybe took away like 30% of what you do? Because you usually travel and photograph, but then you also do, the radio show stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the funnest part is going to the shows or, I do a lot of photography. I do Major League Baseball and there's all this other stuff. So that's gone by the wayside last year, which really sucks. And of course, I put out a book last year. Book tour went right out the window, and it was funny because I'm thinking, I've made a living the last 30 years about talking to people about going on the road and going on tours. And I thought, well, now's my turn. And then gone.
So how do you think your book sales did without being able to do the book tour? Do you think it affected them at all?
Oh, hell yeah, absolutely. The print version of the book, which I happen to have right here.
Oh, look at that.
Sonic Warrior.
I happen to have one. Sonic Warrior, My Life is a Rock and Roll Reprobate, and of course, it's
which you can buy in the link in the description. Right? Do we have the?
Do we have? Oh yeah, yeah.
We'll put it in there
Link
somewhere.
We'll to that. You can get it wherever you get books. And honestly, I would prefer people buy it from local bookstores and order it through them.
Yes.
To to help them not only for the pandemic, but help keep them in business in general. Oh, look at that face.
Local business.
There you go. My dentist is probably very proud of that shot. But Eva, to answer your question, it's like everything else. I'm sure it screwed it up, but the print version is almost sold out, which is really good. But we had planned on book signings from coast to coast. I was going to be doing appearances and signings at major concert festivals, and it all went by the wayside. And certainly I could sit here and whine about it, and sure, it sucks, but considering what other people are going through the course of this pandemic, that I had a book tour fucked up, with poor me, but I'm able to do all my other stuff. So I'm if the worst I have to deal with from all this is a book tour gets pushed back a year or a year and a half, I'm a pretty lucky guy. So you're not going to hear me crying. I'll cry a little bit, but not a lot. You
got your health. You have other sources of income. You're doing really well.
I've been working multiple jobs since I'm 12.
Yep.
I grew up in Englishtown, New Jersey, and there's a huge flea market there, the Englishtown auction. And also because I started going to a lot of concerts by the time I was 13 or 14 years old, and we didn't have a lot of dough, so I had to get everything myself. So I started working multiple jobs when I was a kid just to be able to afford my music habit, my concert habit. Growing up in Central Jersey, we could go see concerts in New York or Philadelphia. So within an hour of us every night, there were multiple bands playing. There were bands playing in Asbury Park, all the New York venues, Philly, North Jersey, Long Island. So I needed money for that. So again, I was a cook's assistant in a nursing home. I was a bus boy in a New Jersey diner by a horse racing track. So when the race would let out in the afternoon, it looked like the cast of Goodfellas was in there, Hey, Louis, the dishwasher. Hey, he's a good kid. Yeah,
Louis.
Yeah, they were good guys though. They all tipped good,
Well, I'm wondering.
I came from a family of wise guys, so they liked me,
I'm wondering how you're handling the working from home 24/7 thing, because you're kind of famously known as a bit of a gazelle when it comes to. I was thinking about the first time that I think we met you might have been Rock on the Range, I think.
Yep, it was first time.
One of those festivals, and there it is, like a long time ago. And seeing you run from bus to media tent to stage with your cameras and all your equipment and your gear running around, and now you're doing it at home. I'm amazed by your stamina, first of all, and what are you doing for exercise now that you can't do that?
I'm not exercising enough. About, I think it's 5 years ago now, I dropped a lot of weight. I dropped like 52 pounds in 3.5 months. And the first place anybody saw me, or most people saw me, where I'd gotten thin, and I put like 17 pounds back on since Thanksgiving. All this I gotta re-lose again. But
you look great.
But I remember I was rail thin, and your sister Lizzie was one of the first people I ran into at Rock on the Range that year, and she looked at me, and I put a picture. Normally I don't post selfies and stuff. That's Rockfest and Cadott with Starset, but
all those guys.
But I posted a picture of myself. I'm like, hey, I lost a lot of weight. I'm healthy. Everything's okay. Don't worry. Because I was running into people who had seen me a couple of months before, and I looked insanely different. And they didn't want to come out and ask, are you ill? I think that was the year. Oh, yeah, that was the year.
Oh,
that was
Chester.
the first year.
What a great picture.
That was really fun because, Linkin Park was one of the bands that
we're in a Hailstorm shirt. Hell yeah.
Well, you guys were playing that day. I was wearing the shirt, which I normally don't do. I normally, I think it's supposedly it's uncool to wear the shirt of the band that you're going to see that night.
I'm just honored that my band's T-shirt was in the presence of Chester Bennington. Like that's pretty cool to me, Like, so at least we were kind amazing. we kind of met him somehow.
That was a fun interview because we gave the Linkin Park on hard drive. We gave them the first national exposure that they ever had. And they always remembered that. Like some bands, like you help give them their start, and maybe they remember, maybe they don't. It's all part of the business. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, like
but
we totally forgot about you. Like who? Like
absolutely.
who are you again?
Who can blame you? But the Lincoln Park guys rolled up that day, and they had said that we're not doing press, and I happened to be walking past the dressing rooms behind the stage, and they were rolling out of their vans, and all the guys went, "Hey, it's Lou. Hey, we'll talk to him. Let him in." And they immediately pulled me in, and I got an interview, which was good for me. So yeah.
That's awesome. So you've done so many things. You're very well versed, obviously, in the music industry, especially rock. I just kind of want to hear your thoughts a little bit on that Super Bowl halftime show, because I know I've got my opinions on it. I know RJ and B-Rock have their opinions on it. What was interesting this year was that he was one of the first artists in a long time to not have a guest performer.
By the way, those guys in that, and I know it ties into the Weeknd's music. I understand there's a connotation.
The jock straps on the face.
Yeah, well, but
Slipknot?
if you look at the clown from Slipknot about 7 years ago, he wore exactly the same kind of thing, except all his bandages were bloody. I had posted a picture of the clown from backstage. I think it was in Baltimore on the tour with Korn, wearing that sort of look. But you were going to say, Eva, before I rudely interrupted about the Super Bowl.
Oh no, you're fine. You didn't rudely interrupt me at all. I'm curious, but my thought is, like, did he not bring a guest performer in because he dumped $7 million of his own money into it? Like, people are saying there's a storyline as to why he did it the way he did, but like from a spectator's point of view, it was fucking kind of boring.
Yeah, listen,
Hilarious.
Oh God, I'm blind.
I respect him for the record. I respect him as an artist, and I understand what a performance like that takes, and much respect, especially for the vocals. But showmanship, I was just like, the Super Bowl. You expect the Super Bowl of performances.
Yeah, and there's a few different subjects going here, so let's tackle that part of it first. I think the Super Bowl. And we'll bring the Grammys up again for another reason later, but both the Super Bowl halftime show and the Grammys, I think, work best when you get groups of artists together doing surprises, doing duets, doing whatever, and to further sort of heighten the fun. I think it's great when you get different genres mashed up together. Metallica and Lady Gaga, I thought, was a real fun.
I feel like Hetfield was fully sabotaged.
Say again?
I said I feel like Hetfield was fully sabotaged during that performance. By the way,
well, I don't even want to get into that. His fucking microphone wasn't turned on, and whoever it was who introduced the act just said, "Here's Lady Gaga," and I'm like, did they just not say Metallica? And this gets into the other point of both the Grammys and the Super Bowl halftime show. I think a lot of us in the rock world feel very slighted by the way rock is treated. And that does not mean that I'm anti-pop. I'm not. Listen, The Weeknd does great music. There's a reason he got to do a halftime Super Bowl show, and you could argue, he could have had guests, and I personally agree that it probably would have made it more fun. I thought it was a little bit on the bland side, but he did a lot better than I could do. So,
right.
but again, I think what happens is you have a genre of music. Yeah, look at that! Like all those people up there jammed together having fun.
That was one of my favorite Super Bowl halftime shows.
Yeah, and
that was amazing.
There. Who, by the way, I'm sure is a nice girl, and I wish her all the luck in the world. Can you imagine your own people wanting to rip you off, or do you wrongly? Like life can suck enough without having your own family members apparently turning on you. But anyway, I'm not anti-pop, and there's a lot of pop artists that I think are insanely talented. But what we're seeing with both the Super Bowl halftime show and the Grammys is there's no rock representation for real at all. I think the last rock artist that you could point at of any kind for the Super Bowl halftime show was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is almost 10 years ago. Why has not AC/DC, Metallica, why have they not been invited. Now, one way it was explained to me from a very large management person who shall go unnamed is, listen, they know every guy in the world, or at least in the country, is going to watch the Super Bowl. They want ginormous numbers. The way to drive that is with a Super Bowl halftime show artist that will bring a lot of women in to make it a big party atmosphere, to watch the game, watch the halftime. And listen, I can understand that to a degree, but the fact that you're totally cutting out an entire genre of music really sucks. And that's the Super Bowl halftime show. It's absolutely inexcusable the way rock is treated by the Grammy Awards, that all of the rock awards are always in the pre-tell. There's little to no rock performance time given to the Grammys. I toy with the idea of rock artists and actually other genres who are never represented in the telecast, like jazz or classical, suing the Grammys and suing the Recording Foundation because they're not being properly represented. They should be represented. The Grammys are supposed to reflect all of these different genres of music who are members of the Recording Academy, but they tend to get screwed over. Now see, and that's funny. You know, Jethro Tull won that Grammy over Metallica that year, and I believe that year it was a combined rock and metal award. So that was sort of a makeup, I think, to give Jethro Tull the award that year, because, you know, they had released great records previous years, and some of the older members of the Recording Academy, I'm sure, looked at it and said, I've heard of Jethro Tull, I'll vote for them in that category. You know, certainly Metallica had the best rock record that year and probably shouldn't won the award. Although I don't get as crazy about Jethro Tull getting that award as some people do. I don't know if Metallica would agree with me with that, but, you know, that's the way it goes.
We had Sully on for season one. Oh yeah, you should have. But we had Sully on for season one, and he kind of talked about this, the James Hetfield thing, and you know, the Grammy thing. But he said that he didn't feel comfortable, you know, doing a big event like that because he doesn't feel like the guys, like, I think, what was his term? He's like, they're actually going to plug these things in and play, and so he never felt comfortable with them, you know, kind of mixing him and doing that. And then he said, you know, something about the Grammys that, like, how are you going to call yourself like this huge music award show when you're not incorporating every genre that you should? So I think he said that really well. Sully's a good guy, man.
Yeah, I mean, one of the I've always watched the Grammys since I was a little kid, and one of the things I enjoyed the most was, you know, obviously seeing artists that I like. That's a great part. But I always found it very useful just to see, you know, what's going on with all this other music. You know, it was interesting to see some jazz guys come out there and kill it, and some pop people come out and kill it. Classical people come out and do it really well. And also when they would do the mashups where you would get, you know, genres that normally wouldn't get to play together, pulling out a song. It doesn't always work. Sometimes they're better than others, but for the most part, even when it's not perfect artistically, I think it's really interesting to check out. And you know, the fact that rock keeps coming up short. Hey.
See, my point exactly. We were up against like Lamb of God and Megadeth.
I think Anthrax that year. I think you were
Iron
up against
Maiden,
Anthrax that year.
Yeah, like, and it seemed like very wrong that we won it, but I think that the biggest problem was that they mixed metal and rock together, and that was another fight.
That was my point about the Jethro Tull year. You know, a lot of people to this day think Jethro Tull won a heavy metal award. They did not. It was there were combined rock genres inside the category, which again is why I'm not as upset as I would be of Jethro Tull getting it. Metallica still deserved the award. It's crystal clear that they had the best rock release that year, but you know, it's not like Jethro Tull won a heavy metal award. And Jethro Tull is certainly a great band who had decades of phenomenal records and tours. So it's not like they were a shit band getting this either, you know?
Well, I've been in the Grammy committee for a while now. And even here in Nashville, like we have a Nashville division that's been fighting the good fight for the underdog genres. And you're right. That's not to say that I am a massive pop music fan. But the Grammys should definitely be more inclusive and representative of all the genres. Super Bowl, on the other hand, I get it. They're going for top 40. They're going for the big names and all that. But my only complaint about the weekend, and Eva kind of pointed this out about like it seemed a little bit dull, but I'm wondering if it's just because you're following acts like Beyonce and Lady Gaga, who just completely just crushed the Super Bowl halftime show.
Nope, I disagree with that.
I think they would be fine, honestly, if they just reran Prince every year. Hey, we'll be back in the second half. Everyone watched Prince from 45 years ago. Like, they could be doing this. We'll be dead and dust. You know,
that was the only year during the Super Bowl that it actually rained, and he played Purple Rain in the rain. Like, amazing. That is nothing more iconic, in my opinion, for a Super Bowl halftime show.
But you're right. I don't know if the lack of having guest stars has something to do with them trying to be safe with COVID and everything. They were trying to keep everybody in the bubble and distanced. And
if they wanted people there, they'd have been there. You know, if they wanted guests there, they'd have been there.
Well, but notice with the Weeknd's performance, they weren't really on the field for most of it. And I know that they were trying to, cut a lot of corners and as far as like playing it safe with COVID, like they were trying to be extra safe, but like I got that halftime show got done and I was like, I was so fucking confused as to what just happened.
I pretty much lost it when he.
But you get those people on social media and on Facebook and on Instagram or whatever that are like, for everybody dogging on the Weeknd's performance, you don't know his music and you don't know his the statements that he's making with his music. And well, how the fuck would anybody know that? Like, you can't translate that into a performance and expect the entire country to know what's going on. We're all going to look at it and go, what just happened? Like, I was so confused.
I think if you look at the options that we have on top 40 right now, you've got like The Weeknd, of course, like he's a really big mega star. But I think as far as charisma goes, like I would have taken Lizzo or Billie Eilish or Harry Styles or somebody like that. I think would have been even cooler, but that's just me.
By the way, quick aside about Billie Eilish, and it's kind of gotten screwed up because the release of the film has been bumped around so much. I think it's finally going to be November this year. Her James Bond theme for No Time to Die is really, really good.
Oh,
I think it's my favorite thing from her, and it sounds really Bondian. The previous Bond theme was maybe my least favorite. Was it Sam Smith?
Oh, Sam Smith.
Oh no, Adele. I was going to bring up Adele next. Totally Skyfall is one of the greatest James Bond themes of all. It ranks.
I was going to say because I thought Skyfall was stunning.
Yeah, that song is like, and obviously Adele, she's pretty good at what she does.
She's okay.
She's got a modicum of talent. But boy, her Bond theme is something else. But something about her version and the Billie Eilish version that I think the Sam Smith was really lacking in was, maybe RJ could explain this better. The Sam Smith, it wasn't like in a Bond key. I don't know how to explain this stuff. I'm not a musician. I don't know if there's.
Do you think he was going too much into falsetto?
Is it like sultry?
Yeah, but
it wasn't as sultry.
I don't know if they're using minor keys to sound like a little discordant, so it sounds more like a spy thing. Like I'm explaining this really badly, but there are some things that sound and they vibe like Bond in the all of the themes that have come through the years, and some that did not. But certainly Billie Eilish and Adele have been really good at it, at least out of the last several years. So how do we get off on Bond themes? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's just interesting because, like, you're right. Like, we're in the rock genre. We're sticking up for rock music, but like, I understand that top 40 is what's going to get on the Super Bowl and all these things. And so, I guess my question to you would be: do you feel that rock music at the Grammys is mistreated as much as Tom Brady mistreated the Super Bowl trophy on his boat?
Hey, listen, Gronk caught it, so that's what counts. There you go.
Oh, that's amazing.
Now, if that had come to the bottom of the harbor, this, we'd be talking about this differently. The fact that he managed to pull it off, speaks very loudly.
Something? Out of all the things to catch in Florida, the Super Bowl trophy is probably not the worst thing, right?
This is true. Although I would like to point out.
Thank you.
That Tom Brady is still an amateur drunk when compared to Joe Namath from the New York Jets from a long time ago. Joe
But
could
probably
take
better at
anybody
it.
under the table.
Are you a Jets fan?
If you're talking about Super Bowl champions, drinkers, particularly those of the AFC East, Joe Namath has still got it all over Tom Brady. And I've never rooted for Tom Brady, but by God, I've never bet against him. So
That's so true.
Well
And
said. Well said.
I guess the whole thing with Tom Brady being as drunk as he was in Florida,
he was wasted, it looked like.
he
a lightweight.
was fucking lit. But the best part about that was that made him like a real person. It wasn't Tom Brady kale eating, wheatgrass drinking, like I don't
football
eat
robot.
oh my God, he's a total football robot. So that's what made this so fucking awesome.
Party boy.
Yeah,
time.
when I saw him, like a bodyguard was like holding him up, walking, I'm like, hey, I remember me during those days. That was fun, Although I wasn't so drunk that I would ever toss the fucking Super Bowl, the Lombardi trophy around.
I would totally do that drunk.
He's like, I got 7 more. It's no big.
Yeah, what you got to lose,
I'll just get another one next year.
If we
Right?
miss
Hey,
it, we'll
RJ.
leave it for the fish.
RJ, the next time we get drunk together, bring your Grammy. I'm gonna throw it at something.
No, we're not doing that because I don't know if I'll ever
yeah.
get another one.
I like some of the memes.
I'm not at
like-
that level of confidence where I'm like, I'll just get another one. I'm not Adele, okay?
I like some of the memes with Tom Brady where it's like the only way to stop him from getting another Super Bowl ring, and then they put him in like a Vikings jersey, which is fucked up because that's my team. But I think that's funny that they're doing that.
That is
I
pretty
saw that
pure.
with
That
the
is your
Vikings.
team, yeah.
Yeah,
I saw him as a Viking, I saw him as a Jet, and I saw him as a Dallas Cowboy. Same meme.
Yep.
Same meme, different uniform,
Yeah, the Jets could really use some help, right? Are you a Jets fan?
I am mostly a Giants fan. I do root a bit for the Jets. I also have a soft spot for the Green Bay Packers because the Green Bay Packers they're one of the great franchises in sports. They're essentially owned and operated by their fans.
Yeah, well,
and
I'm a Bears fan, so
can't do it, guys. I got to go now. Sorry.
You're a Bears
Bears.
fan?
I'm a
I'm
Bears
so
fan.
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
That's why you
about
said
to.
Packers, and I was like, no.
Although in football, what I really love are the Ohio State Buckeyes. So that makes my name Mud in the state of Michigan for good reason. So
Well, I
Nice.
could assume so.
So Lou, you have I saw a picture of Alice Cooper. He tried to kill you once or twice, right?
he's tried to kill me at least on 3 different occasions. There it is. That is part of a series.
Amazing.
And you've got these other artists that send you gift packs like the Pretty Reckless stuff like that, right?
Yeah, but
I
those
love
are, it's an album and a T-shirt, and Taylor sent Hershey kisses and a Valentine's Day card. I got
We're
some.
gonna send you a Stop, Drop, and Talk T-shirt.
Sure. So what I'm getting at is you got somebody that tries to kill you like Alice Cooper in a band that sends you stuff. What has been like some of the funnest bands you've worked with, or the ones that haven't got along with you so well, if you feel like talking about that?
Yeah,
Inquiring minds would love to know.
Who's
I
your
don't know
least
that there's
favorite
anybody I
artist?
really-
You are.
I don't know that there's anybody I really haven't gotten along with. I'm a middle child of 5. Hey, here's Lenny. That was the 930 Club in Washington D.C. I remember that night really well. This was after the performance. The 930 Club. I know RJ has played there with Hailstorm.
And we've
It's
seen you
one of-
there.
It's one. Oh, that's right. Yeah,
We've
it's
hung
one of
out
the great
there.
venues in the country.
I got to go to your
and,
office there, right by there in DC.
Yeah. The XM offices are not.
That's
well,
right.
Originally, the XM offices, Sirius XM offices, now for DC. And great performance studios there. But that Motorhead gig, that I think was the very first. I'm trying to think back here. I think that was the first time Lemmy and I had seen each other in person since a mutual friend of ours had been killed. I don't know if you remember, a number of years ago, there was a tragedy in Rhode Island. There was a fire at a Great White concert. And at the Station nightclub, and over 100 people died in the fire. One of which was an old friend of mine, a great radio DJ and a super supporter of hard rock and metal. His name was Mike Gonsalves, but we all called him Dr. Metal. And in New England, the guy was an absolute legend. And even after I left WHJY, the doc and I always kept in touch. Whenever I'd come into town to cover bands, we'd go out, we'd hit the clubs. He was just an awesome guy. Anyway, he was the MC that night, and the reports were that when the fire started, he got out. But then because there were people trapped inside, he went back in to try and get people out, and he was not lucky enough to make it the second time, and he perished. And
I remember hearing about that, yeah.
Yeah. I went back to New England. His family and the radio station asked me to do a memorial version of his show, The Metal Zone. And we had a ton of guests on. Everybody stepped up because he was the first airplay many of these artists received in the U.S. Lars from Metallica took part. Lemmy was on it. And that night where the picture was taken, don't even, just don't.
Yeah. That
was the first I saw Lemmy since he and I had done the special together over the phone for Dr. Metal. And I think we drank Jack Daniels for the doc that night. And so that Motorhead picture I remember really distinctly that night and that moment. And God bless Dr. Metal. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there's another one. Yeah.
That's another, this is from the old days. Now, WHJY in Providence, that was the first radio station where I had my own show. Previous to that, I had worked as a part-time air and morning show producer for WMMR in Philly in the early to mid 80s. And I was like a teenager. I was just a kid and found myself interviewing bands like Pink Floyd and the Grateful Dead and Frank Zappa. And it was a lot of fun. Now, that picture of that was, can you punch that picture back up? I'll walk you through the picture. Now that's me with my look at those hot legs. I am fucking hot. Look at those legs. Lou's showing off the games. So that's me on the left. That in the red tights is Jerry Cantrell. In the middle, that's Lane Staley. God. And I'll tell you a crazy story.
Lane, oh my God.
Yeah, that's Lane. Next to Lane, on the other side of Jerry, that is Bill Waterman, who now is the program director for WMMR in Philadelphia. He was my program director in Providence at the time. Bill's been around forever. The guy on the right is Charlie. Yeah. The guy on the right is Charlie Walk, who was the record company guy for Alice in Chains record company back in those days. Quick aside about Bill, anybody who follows me might have heard me tell a story about how I almost got fired in the middle of a blizzard one Saturday afternoon. I mean, literally, it's like waist deep snow. And somebody called in and requested By Tor and the Snow Dog from Rush. It's the most obscure, weirdo Rush song ever. It's like the science fiction epic, By Tor, the Snow Dog. And it's just, and it's like 12 minutes long. So I think, well, shit, I'll play it. And I play it, and the phone played up, and the Rush fans are going crazy. That Monday, Bill calls me into his office for a meeting, and the meeting consists of Bill for 17 minutes, purple-faced, screaming the words, By Tor and the fucking Snow Dog, over and over again for 17 minutes. And I've done like album premiere specials with the guys from Rush. That story is sort of taken on a life of its own, but that's Bill. That's the By Tor and the fucking Snow Dog guy. Anyway,
oh my God, that is amazing.
The reason, and I was going to put a chapter in my book, Sonic Warrior, about the Alice in Chains thing, but I wasn't able to find the tape and get all the deets on it, so I'll put it in a follow-up book. The way I remember it is this. In the background of that picture, you see like a radio station banner, and there's a table set up. That was set up on the loading dock at the Providence Civic Center, where Alice in Chains that night was opening for Van Halen, which was a great bill. A little weird, I think, for some of the old school Van Halen fans, because Alice in Chains had a, grunge or whatever you would want to call what they were doing sounded very odd to some of those ears. But I thought it was great of Van Halen to bring Alice in Chains out. So anyway, I'm live. I'm on the air. They bring Lane Staley by, and I do not have a chance to say hello, shake his hand, do anything. He's literally sitting down while I'm in the middle of a break. So I figure I'll give him a super easy question since I didn't have time to prep him. And I said, hey, Lane Staley, Alice in Chains is here. Lane, how did you guys end up on the tour? And he grabbed the mic and went,
Oh my my God.
And that went live out to
Wait,
all
what
of
was
New
that?
England.
What was that? A little.
What did he say?
Could you understand what I said?
No, he was like, oh, dick.
Oh,
Something
he
like
said,
dick.
I sucked the road manager's dick.
God,
But he grabbed the microphone and did it
I hear
like
you.
that. And I just kind of looked at him and I paused for probably about 10 seconds and finally went, my guest has been Lane Staley of Alice in Chains. Lane, it's great to meet you. Thanks for coming by.
Oh, that's
But
amazing.
Bill doesn't remember that, so I don't think Bill heard it. And Jerry Cantrell is in the picture, so maybe we ended up getting him on the air, or maybe that didn't. I don't remember it all, and I really want to get the tape before I put it into a book. But that was the only time I interviewed Lane Staley, and since then, you know, I've of course I interviewed all the other Alice in Chains guys, past and present, and they're, you know, a fantastic band and great people. Actually, one time at an Alice in Chains show, their Jerry Cantrell and his sound people, they have like something set up. There's amps off stage with a mic in the middle where they quadruple the amps or something to get his sound, and they let me stand right in the middle of that, which is one of the reasons why I'm at like 85% hearing loss. That was Rockin' the Range. That was Rockin' the Range a few years ago. That was outside the
that's right.
tent. Yeah, it was really, that was one of those nasty years where it was like 55 degrees.
Well,
in
didn't
Columbus.
Alice in Chains, didn't they take a long time off before, unfortunately, the death of Lane Staley? They were out of it for a while, weren't they? If I remember correctly.
No, before Lane died, the last I saw Alice in Chains with Lane Staley, they were doing the Kiss reunion tour. And the tour opened at Tiger Stadium in Detroit, which at one time was a real baseball palace. And by the time of this concert, so this is 96, I think, Tiger Stadium was literally falling apart. It was really sad to see. I felt bad for the Tigers baseball fans. But anyway, the opening band that day was Sponge, who are, you know, of course, from Michigan. So and they're a great band, Vinny Dombrowski, and then they're great guys and a great band.
Yeah.
Alice in Chains was main support to Kiss. And I remember, I think I interviewed Jerry Cantrell that day in a trailer backstage. And then Kiss, of course, was the headliner. Alice in Chains, I'm trying to picture it, they opened with Again. And Lane, I think, was probably not in the best of health with his substance abuse. And he was sort of draped on the microphone. And he barely moved. He was like somebody had thrown a coat on a microphone stand. And I just remember, but his vocal sounded so good and even, here, I'll do it again.
That's so amazing.
God. You know?
Bill, that's so amazing. That's so amazing.
There you go. Oh, yeah. I
yeah.
saw my ticket stub and my passes from that show. And that Kiss reunion tour, I probably went to 15 to 25 shows on that. I've known the Kiss guys a long time, so they always, you know, treat me well and make sure that I get to go back and do stuff. Actually, you want to hear a really funny Gene Simmons story?
Always.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I'll tell you one. Not the one I'm going to tell you. If I can find it in the book, there's a chapter in my book called "The Time I Learned That Gene Simmons of Kiss is the Hottest Bowler in All the Land." And that was about bowling with Gene. Oh, here we go. Here's the illustration from Alan McBain. There's illustrations for all the chapters. There I am bowling with Gene Simmons.
Oh,
That's
nice.
amazing.
Now, Gene Simmons is the greatest fucking bowler in the world. And
What? Really?
well, here's what happened. I'll tell the two stories, but I'll make them short. Hot in the Shade tour, working in Providence, played Kiss all the time. They knew I was a fan, treated me really good. About a week before they came to play the Civic Center, hotline rings. Hello, this is Gene Simmons from Kiss. I'd like to speak to Lou Brutus. And it's Gene. And long story short, he says, we have a night off before Providence. We're going to be in town. Do you want to do something? I said, I'll get a car. I'll bring some people from the station. We'll go out. We'll figure out something to do. And we go to the living room, local club, local band night. He attracted a crowd really fast. So we left there. And I said, sorry about that. What do you want to do now? He said, I'd like to go bowling. But I don't want pussy bowling. I want man's bowling.
Oh my!
And we're looking at him going, man's bowling. What are you talking about?
What does that mean?
And finally, we figured it out. Sharon Shafino, who's our music director. Sharon. Oh, there we are. That's that was at the beginning of the farewell tour.
Ooh,
Uh,
nice haircut.
I just buzz it off anymore. I've always had a shitty hairline, so it doesn't matter. And of course, you stand next to Paul Stanley, you're always going to look bad. I don't care who you are, you know. But anyway, Gene starts to bowl, and everything's a strike, and he's doing trick shots behind his back, through his legs, blindfolded, strikes, 2 balls at one time, crisscrossing. And finally, I go, Gene, you're the greatest bowler I've ever seen. How'd you get so good? And he looked at me and said, Lou, Paul and I have been on the road several decades now. We neither drink nor take drugs. There's nothing else to fucking do out here. And I wonder where that's from. I wonder if that's from. It can't. I don't remember what the. No, because there's some sort of Gene Simmons thing on the. We were at the Cranston Bowl in Cranston, Rhode Island, and we bowled all night, and the Cranston Bowl people were great. And a quick aside about Gene. The bowling alley wouldn't take money from us. And I tried to give them the owner, an older guy, was like, oh, this is the greatest night we ever had. This is so exciting. Thanks for coming. And Gene said, do you want to come to the concert? We'll comp your whole staff. And the owner said, gee, Gene, you know, my granddaughter is your biggest fan. Could you sign an autograph for her? And Gene said, well, where is she? Why isn't she here now? And he said, well, she's going to school at the University of New Hampshire. He said, call her now. And it's like midnight. They call this girl in her dorm, wake her up, and Gene Simmons sits on the phone for like 20 minutes and answers, no, we don't talk to Peter anymore, or we don't talk to whatever's going on at that point, you know. And Gene Simmons gets a lot of bad flack from people, but listen, when he's got the time, he'll give it all to fans and to people. I found him to be a great guy. And I was going to tell some other story from later on the reunion tour. This must have been 97 or 98. I called and just said, hey, I didn't think I was going to be in town. Can I get a ticket for the show? And they offered to send, you know, the promoter calls and he's like, can we get you a limousine? I'm like, no, I just need a ticket and a pass to go back and say hi. Can we get you a date? And I'm like, no, I don't need a date. Seriously. I just need a ticket and a pass to see the band. And the guy said, Lou, you're Gene Simmons' guest. You may have whatever it is that your heart desires. And I'm like, seriously, I just need a ticket and a pass. But it was kind of funny. It was like talking to the Godfather or something, you know?
Yeah. How much do you think is actually left out of that one book? Like, could you actually write 5 books with all this stuff?
My book? Yeah. Well, I know I have enough stories. I've already outlined enough stories that I can write, like, I think another really good book filled with goofy stories. But before I wrote the first one, I really kind of sat down and thought, what kind of book do I want to write? And I certainly could have written a lot about like people cheating on their wives and shooting up dope and taking drugs. And, but there's plenty of other books like that. And I didn't want to be an asshole. Like if anybody looks stupid or bad in my book, it's me, because I don't mind making myself look bad. And I've done plenty of stupid shit that's hopefully funny now. But I didn't want to ruin anybody else's life just for some fucking book, you know. Hey, that's at Rockfest.
Oh yeah,
that's Nonpoint. And those are taken in their star set. They were taken on the same day. Usually one day at Rockfest, I dress up like the late Hunter S. Thompson, and I take my golf cart and my fly swatter, and then I drive around the campgrounds all night. And I just like I load up there's Cheap Trick, one of the greatest bands in the world. Their forthcoming new album, In Another World, is fucking amazing. It is going to be out, I want to say April 9th, but don't hold me to that. Cheap Trick, by the way, you could argue is America's greatest straight up rock and roll band. That's Breaking Benjamin.
They kill
Say again, Eva?
With Cheap Trick, I actually got to work with them, not for them. I got to work with them. I emceed the Deadwood Jam in Deadwood, South Dakota, and they were our headliner. It was 30 degrees outside. I'll bet they still rocked it. So fucking cold. They killed it. The crowd, South Dakota, it's negative 20 here right now with the wind chill. The crowd were such pussies.
What?
That was the smallest crowd I would have ever expected for Cheap Trick. And they went out there and gave it everything they had.
Bet they killed it.
And it was one of the best shows I've ever seen. And I actually got to introduce them for that, which would have been so much cooler if the crowd was big, but it was cool in itself because Cheap Trick, obviously.
Yeah,
killed it,
I
man.
remember a crowd, and RJ was there for it. Actually, it gets referenced in my book. There's a chapter called "The Time Our Tour Bus Ran Over a Guy on the New Jersey Turnpike," and it was, I think it was
I was there for that.
No,
Okay, I don't remember that.
It was after. Was it the Avalanche tour? It was Theory of a Dead Man, Stone Sour, Skillet, and Hailstorm.
And Argentine,
I joined up on the tour and was traveling with Stone Sour in New York.
Yeah.
And we went to Bangor, Maine the next day, and it was like 40 degrees. And all the Bangor people, to them 40 degrees, they were out there in shorts and t-shirts. It's like April, and this is the first, like, to them, warm day. The rest of us are fucking freezing to death. But the Bangorians were rocking it. And then we went from Bangor to Connecticut, and then from Connecticut, the next show was in Richmond for Stone Sour. They were dropping me at my office and studios in DC, and we ran over. Well, we didn't run him over. We clipped him on the New Jersey Turnpike. It was turned out to be a truck driver who had gone crazy and was walking down the middle of the New Jersey Turnpike screaming, "I want to meet Jesus! I want to meet Jesus!" And Wade, our bus driver, managed to not kill him, which was miraculous.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. Jim Root took pictures. Jim Root got paid, like, we caused a backup because we were blocking the entire New Jersey Turnpike. Jim Root took the pictures. He gave them to me to use in the book, but we ended up not going with any photographs. We just have an illustration from my friend Alan McBain for each one of the chapters. So there's Seven Dust. That is that's Sonic Boom.
Morgan and LeJean and Vinny and all those. Yeah, man. Love it.
You know, I just did a thing with Tom Peterson and Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick, and you know, I talked about how in one way, Seven Dust is a lot like Cheap Trick. Now, well, actually a couple of ways. One of which is Seven Dust and Cheap Trick are certainly extremely successful bands.
Insane live bands.
I think, say that again, RJ.
Insane live band, like insane.
Oh yeah. They kill it. They're phenomenal. But I think most people would agree they have not gotten all of the success that they should. But the other thing, and the most fun thing that I think Seven Dust and Cheap Trick have in common, is all musicians love them because other musicians realize how fucking good Seven Dust and Cheap Trick are. That's why whenever you see either Seven Dust or Cheap Trick at a festival, don't watch that. We'll watch them on stage, but closely watch the wings. Yeah, RJ, you know what I'm talking about. Because every other musician who is playing that day, who is not on stage at that moment, is going to be there watching Seven Dust or Cheap Trick, wondering how they got so fucking good.
I said the exact same thing. I said the exact same thing to Jacoby on season 1, because I think Papa Roach is another one of those bands where you see this guy just non-stop. He just doesn't stop. His batteries are at full all the time. And every time you see them or Seven Dust or Cheap Trick, or like, there's only so many bands, but like if the other bands aren't doing press at the same time, they're right there side stage watching.
Well, the only other thing,
the chance to watch them, you have to.
Yeah, the only other thing crazy like that is when me and Dan, we were in Hollywood and Rage Against the Machine played at, I think it was Palladium.
Oh, there's another one.
We had backstage passes, and I'm talking like System of a Down, Deftones. Like, and this is a festival, and they were all backstage, like just
that's
glued
insane.
to them. You know, that
what
was
a
amazing
lineup.
to see. But Seven Dust on Shiprock, like everybody on Shiprock is watching Seven Dust, like you know, from the sideline.
Seven Dust
group of guys. You know, like there couldn't be a nicer group of guys than Seven Dust. Sure. I've also worked with them. I think that they're probably one of the easiest bands I've ever had to work with.
I love them.
Yeah, I wish I'd known. None of us knew we were going to end up talking about Seven Dust so much. The very first time I saw them live was the House of Blues in New Orleans, and again, I don't think the debut record was about to come out. I think at that point we were already playing it on hard drive. You know, the show is hitting its 25th anniversary this year, and I think Seven Dust was brand new at that point, so we were giving them their first airplay. And they were so stoked about it. They were opening for the Nixons. And you remember the Nixons with Sister, a great band out of Oklahoma City. They still get together and play.
Zach Malloy is a good friend of mine. We songwrite together a lot. And of course, John Humphrey plays with Seether. And I've known him
plays with Seether now, yeah. But I remember LeJean coming up and saying, "Oh my God, thanks for the support. We can't believe it. Thank you so much. And he gave me a laminate, and these are, I think they're homemade. They're the very first Seven Dust laminates. I've got a crate of stuff ready to go back to storage. That is that's Bandcamp in Madison, Wisconsin, which later morphed into Sonic Boom, which I'm hoping is coming back in the not too distant future.
Me too,
I've been
man.
hearing rumblings about
I know
that.
what you're talking about, Lou, because wow, my light's kind of anyway.
I think I have that pass.
Black Out the
I have
Sun.
that pass. Yeah, I've got one of those.
Love that album.
Well, hopefully, Lou, we'll get to run into you at some festival.
I mean,
nice guys ever, right?
we could go off on Seven Dust for another hour on this podcast because we've all been so close for them for so many years. But I'm curious about any Chester Bennington stories that you have in your book, because you've been very close to those guys. Do you have anything to share about him?
I wouldn't say I'm super close with them, but again, we gave them the first national airplay, and they always made sure I got stuff done with them. Nothing ever crazy happened with them because, those are the only stories that end up in the book are sort of the goofy, crazy things. And I never had anything goofy or crazy happen with Linkin Park. I think maybe one of the most telling things I can think of is, excuse me, and I think this is fairly common for bands that blow up in a short amount of time. At the beginning of that first album cycle for Linkin Park, they were like any other new band. They're green. They don't really know how to do interviews, and you sort of guide them through, and they're very open. They talk about everything. That first album cycle went on for them, I think, like about 2 years, and they wrapped up. That was, I think that's Rock on the Range. I think that's a trailer at Rock on the Range. I don't remember what year, but that's got to be way back because I was still.
Yeah,
really
everyone looks so
then.
young.
Yeah, man. Lou's got a nice tan.
We had just come from Chester's 12th birthday party, I think, in that picture. But one thing, by the end of that cycle, and if I remember correctly, the last two shows of the first full real Linkin Park tour, they did 2 nights sold out at the Electric Factory in Philadelphia, which is a great venue. It's right there by the Delaware River, right by the Ben Franklin Bridge. I used to live in that neighborhood, as a matter of fact. But they had been through the ringer so much for that 2.5 years. And I think they had been burned by other people in interviews that when you would compare the recordings of Chester answering questions a couple of years before and his answers at the end, he was far more guarded by the end. And even with me, I think they knew that, like, I wasn't going to fuck them over or take anything out of context, which is the kind of thing that can happen sometimes. But you could tell he was a little weary by that point. And I remember, man, this guy's aged quite a bit in just a couple of years. You know, he matured a lot in a couple. He did about 10 to 20 years of marinating in just a couple of years. But
that'll happen.
Yeah. Other than that, he was always a nice guy, treated everybody great, and it's a horrible loss. And I still now and then, and this happens with some other artists, once in a while I'll be listening to a song from them, something will crop up on the show or on the radio, and I'll think, hey, next time I talk to him, and before I can formulate the question that I would think to add in an interview and add to my notes for later use, it's like, well, they're not here anymore. But I have that happen with my parents too. Sometimes I think about my parents, and you think, oh, I got to say, and then you realize, well, you can't say it to them. So
being a creature
that happens. It's part of life.
You kind of become a creature of habit, whether it becomes your job or your day-to-day routines and all that stuff, and it all kind of translates into that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Yeah, that's how I think. Whenever I see or hear something, I think, how can I use that on the air? How can I tell people about this? If I hear music, I see a film, I see a TV show, because I always sort of kid around that my actual job is that I'm a professional pointer, that I just point out things. Hey, here's a great band. Hey, here's a great movie. Hey, here's a great festival that you should go to, or here's a great book you could read. The other thing that I kid about is, and sometimes it's on my business card, professional music fan, because really all I am is a music fan who went pro. I spent all my grade school years and high school years going to concerts, listening to music and memorizing album liner notes. I have no fucking talents or abilities. So this is the only gig I could get was talking about bands on the radio.
Are you mad that Almost Famous kind of ripped off your story?
That's actually his story.
It seems like your life.
Me. It's funny though, because my first concert was also a Black Sabbath show. Wow. I just taped an interview with Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath, and he recounted that night. Normally, and this show, it'll be December 6th this year, will be the 45th anniversary of my first concert. 45th? Yeah, 45th. December 6th, 1976, Madison Square Garden, Black Sabbath Technical Ecstasy Tour. Ted Nugent had just put out Free for All. He was the opening band. And the MC that night, who was supposed to actually jam with Sabbath that night, was Frank Zappa, who I later got to know really, really well. And he's still one of my favorite musicians. He was probably the greatest musician of the 20th century. But anyway, I brought up this night to Tony Iommi, and he was like, oh, the Garden show. We were late because I had these problems and Frank had to go out. And Tony remembered everything from that gig. Wow. But again, it was the Madison Square Garden gig. So that, when you play the Garden, I don't care who you are. It's a big fucking deal,
Absolutely. And I mean, I've been thinking about Chester lately because and also about Scott Weiland, and you mentioned Lane Staley, and these were guys that you kind of could see it coming. I just recently went back and watched some old videos of Weiland just slaying it with STP and killing it with Velvet Revolver, and then towards the end you just see him not even there, just mumbling through these songs, not even on key, not even on rhythm. And then when he died, it was just oh my God, how come nobody offered him help? How come nobody saw this coming? And so that was so tragic. But the Chester story came out of nowhere. When he died, I never saw that coming because the dude was a freak of nature, of talent. He would go up on stage and just sing perfect, flawless every night, hitting ridiculous high notes. They didn't even transpose the songs. He sang the album key, crazy high notes every night. And that was just really tragic. So I didn't know how you felt about that,
Yeah, I mean, I never saw that coming. I never would have imagined Chris Cornell either.
Chris Cornell is another one,
that's a big one.
But it sort of echoes something that you guys were talking about earlier in the podcast before I hopped on. There are people who have mental health issues that they might look to you on the outside as the happiest, most successful people in the world. You think I'd trade my shoes for their shoes in a fucking heartbeat, but you just never know what another person is going through. And I hope that makes more people empathetic, moving forward. And that there's less bullying and maybe a bit more sympathy given to other people. And I don't just mean famous music artists. I mean everybody. You don't know what anybody else is going through, and that's why, and I just watched it because it was Groundhog's Day not too long ago. I watched Groundhog Day again, and I think that film really, really, really shows you how you actually should go through life. Yeah. You should try and be the best, try and be the person who's the coolest person that somebody meets through the day. You should be the person who makes them laugh or does a little something for them.
Brightens up their day.
Yeah. And also you should also try and cram in sort of every bit of activity that you can, which is what I've tried to do. I've tried anyway, most of my life. This is why every waking moment I'm trying to be doing something. I mean, I have some days where I just sort of collapse and can't move, but for the most part, I'm working on my photography, or I'm working on the show, or I'm working on graphic arts for something that I'm doing. There's always some project or something going on, because, one day I won't be able to do this stuff, and one day I'll be dead, so I want to cram everything I can do.
You definitely don't know how to sit still. That's for sure.
Most out of each day, right?
But
say that again, sorry.
Oh, get the most out of each day that you can, right?
There's a great song in Bye Bye Birdie, I got a lot of living to do, and it's just a great tune about just do everything that you can every moment that you can, because, you won't be able to one day. RJ, what were you going to say next?
I just said a quote to Brock the other day on the phone, and we were talking about Chester and Scott Weiland and Chris Cornell and Lane Staley and some more obvious than others that had a lot of internal issues going on. But I forget who said it. It might have been Charlemagne or somebody said it, where they said, I think the quote went like, every person you meet has an internal battle going on that you have no idea about. Something like that. Right. It's like, that's so true. Because I mean, Brock and I relate on that level, because like we both like have depression and anxiety and all these problems, and we both go to therapy, and it's so important for us. So it's good to see that there's more awareness out there. We just talked about that with the whole Britney thing. So,
yeah, and you had touched on with Scott Weiland, you could see him kind of slipping away, which was tragic for a number of different reasons. One of them was when he was on his game, not only was he a great front man, and, I love watching, he would do like these praying mantis moves. Like I can't describe it any other way. His body and his limbs moved like he was a fucking insect.
Yeah.
He would do like these, like a hieroglyphic come to life,
insane, man. And at the end, it was just nuts. Like, oh my God, like it was like totally different person towards the end when he did Scott Wild on the Wildabouts, he did his solo thing, and I saw him live, and it was like, oh man, like, yeah.
And he was playing a lot of places that you wouldn't have expected to have seen him in, because, and the other tough thing about seeing him not mentally on top of his game, he was a great interview. Like, he was a funny dude. He had a great sense of humor. He was really engaging. He listened to what you said and gave you great answers. So it was always, a very interesting back and forth. He was well read, which meant he could cover a lot of subjects with you. And he was also really good. And I bring this up a lot about certain artists. He was really good at explaining his art. He was good at explaining music, because there are some musicians who are fantastic musicians. They're great songwriters. They're phenomenal performers, but ask them to explain it in an interview, and they can't fucking do it. They just, they don't have the ability or the interest or the wherewithal to explain their art. And that's not a wrong thing about them. It's just, they don't have that ability. So when you do, especially for my job, come across somebody who can do that really well, it's like a godsend,
Right.
And Scott, when he was on his game, was really good at it.
Well, then we'll celebrate them when they were at their best, because they're all amazing. Yeah.
We could do like an entire other episode about, just, Scott Weiland and Chris Cornell and all these different, Chester Bennington. Like, we could speak about them for hours and hours and hours, because they deserve it. There's a lot to talk about them. A lot of good things, a lot of high points, a lot of things that they contributed to the music industry, which is incredible, honestly, artistically. But
Lou will
I know we could talk to Lou for hours, but we don't have that kind of time, so we should probably move along.
For sure.
We have a little segment called. Oh, I'm sorry, Eva. What were we saying?
No, I think I was just going right into exactly what you were.
Okay. Anyway, we have a little segment on our show that we call "Stop, Drop, Shenanigans," and the theme song goes like this:
Stop, drop, shenanigans. Stop, drop, shenanigans. You'll never get me gold.
So we'll end on something really fun. But Lou, from what I hear, you have a little thing on your show called Poetry Corner.
Yes, indeed. On Hard Drive XL, the Monday through Friday night show, I do a poetry segment. And I think through the years, I've probably written thousands of little poems for it. And I pulled one of my favorite ones. It's actually longer than most of them tend to. It's not super long. I'll be able to blast through it really quickly here. But I have one special poem that I brought tonight. And I understand that you guys wrote poems as well. So are we going to have like a poetry? This would be a poetry slam. We're going to have a poetry slam.
Kind of tell how this game's going to go here.
Okay, so in tribute to your segment on your show, we decided to help promote your show by doing something similar here. So we decided to do exactly that, a poem off, and Eva is going to be the judge.
That's me.
So you got to pick your favorite poem.
And I'm glad Eva is the judge, because not only is she one of the most beautiful women on the planet, she's also one of the smartest and one of the greatest judges, said Lou, sucking up, trying to win the contest.
No, you're just telling the truth.
Wait,
You're
do you have
telling the
more?
truth.
Keep going.
Those things are all true, though, but you know.
All right, so how should we do this? Who wants to go first? Lou,
I feel like we should save the guest for last.
Okay,
Oh, boy.
Eva, you call it. You call it who you think needs to, who should go first.
All right, B-Rock, let's hear it.
Oh man, all right. Mine's probably gonna be the shortest, but I'm gonna call.
Perfect. We don't have much time
Is it
anyway.
a haiku?
Yeah,
Is this a haiku?
Well, mine's about Valentine's Day, and I'm gonna call it "Fuck Cupid," obviously, like right there. So it's kind of a bash on Valentine's Day because I'm single. So here we go. Ready? All right. Roses are red, violets oh so blue. Forget you, Valentine's Day. I wish an STD on you. Being single, I must crack a joke, a swift left hook, for it's just my blow-up doll Gwen Stefani and I watching The Notebook. For you beautiful lovebirds at the restaurant having a blast, I'll be the one yelling at random couples, well, you got over me fast. To the short...
You're not too bitter.
Oh,
there's only a little bit left. To the short, chubby toddler Cupid and your weapon of romance, you better hit me up next year. Damn it, give me a chance. The Grinch is done, nothing more to say, but honestly, I do hope you all had a great Valentine's Day.
oh, there we go.
That was so good.
That was great.
Short and sweet, come on, but fuck you, Cupid.
Man,
Seriously,
really,
fuck you.
really setting the bar high. Mine is like completely absurd. Mine is just okay. So the theme of mine is kind of roughly based on kind of what I've been going through during the pandemic, and also the little things that I appreciate. As a musician and a guy that has a lot of music gear, one thing that I appreciate is that little extra spare inch that they give you on your power strips to put your big AC adapter plugs. So my poem is called "Little Space for My Power Strip Plugs" by RJ Hale. Oh, little space between my power strip plugs. How do you hold my cables so snug? That little extra spare inch for my AC adapters, which enables my electronic bong to charge just a bit faster. This year, technology kept our spirits afloat for those of us who don't own a speedboat. Although we have so far to go, all cards on the table, even my 100-foot Ethernet cable can't even keep my internet stable. Still, thank you, Nikolai Tesla, for your unscratchable itch to bring the power to my Nintendo Switch. The pandemic kept me stuck in the house, hair outgrown, no tan. My strongest relationship is with the Amazon delivery man. I've repainted all my walls. I've learned how to cook sourdough. I may have acquired love handles, but hey, that ass though. Hey. After my phase of indoor gardening and baking every bread, Cody Rigsby on my Peloton can only get me out of bed. Finishing my day with a 40-minute ride, followed with a bottle of Cabernet. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and where's that leftover New Year's cake? Oh, pandemic hangover and quarantine 15. Pass me those Doritos flavored with flamin' hot methamphetamine. But no matter how many things in my system that made me trip, I'll always have you, my trusty power strip. After putting you in my pants, floating you on my bath water, filling your holes up with peanut butter, then plugging you into the wall along with my lamp, toaster, and alarm clock. No matter how many colors I could taste, I still was shocked. From 3 Percocets, 2 Mollies sprinkled with a smidge of poisonous tree frog spit, to waking up naked in my neighbor's fire pit. But even with all the tequila, whippets, and illegal drugs, I wouldn't have gotten through 2020 without you. That little extra space for my AC adapter plugs.
RJ,
Weird,
I
right?
straight up thought at one point when you said my relationship with my Amazon man, I thought that the line was going to be my best relationship was with my hand.
Lou's like salivating. Look at him. He's like, I got these fools.
Part of it is I'm drinking lemon juice. But also, that was really good. And the methamphetamine rhyme, that was inspired. I think Edgar Allan Poe himself wished he could lay claim to that somewhere in the poetic afterlife.
RJ's mom literally just puts in all caps letters, "That's my boy."
Oh, speaking of which, my mom says hi, Lou.
I love your mom. I haven't seen her in forever.
Right. I'll tell you, said I. Well, you can tell her right now.
I'm crying. All right, Lou,
Great lady.
you're up. Let's do this.
Mine is not nearly as epic. Mine is simply entitled Beer.
Yeah, something we all love.
Here we go. This poem's about beer. I wish it were here, so frostily near. Of thirst I'd not fear. Beer fills me with cheer. My dear, dear, dear beer. We're near through the year. Through the mug I do peer, and leeringly leer at that sweet, tasty beer. Towards you I will steer. With my tongue I will spear. Then lick the foam clear from my mug filled with beer. Like a soldier's frontier, I'm a beer brigadier. In my beer bandolier, on my horse I'd appear, riding like Paul Revere. If the British come near, they'd best bring me beer, and kick into gear from here to Zaire. I'm never unclear, beer's premier in my sphere. For a drinking career, by a train engineer, by Emir or Shamir, my veneer is sincere. I'm quite crystal clear in my poem about beer.
Oh my God!
Holy shit!
Like,
That was
Jesus, man.
All right.
That's why you were salivating.
Okay, I think. Okay, I know, Eva, you're the judge here, but I think that Lou
I know.
smoked us all.
Okay, like I gotta be really honest because the genius behind all of these was individually hysterically fucking funny on their own. Because the methamphetamine thing
supposed to say that
is straight up anti-Valentine's Day shit. B-Rocks was, but I have never in my life heard anybody rhyme the word beer more than I just heard Lou Brutus do that in that poem. That was what, I don't know, 70 words it felt like rhymed with beer.
It took
amazing.
a while to craft. It was a craft beer poem.
Also,
it took you a lot longer than it took us.
Look at that.
He's the only one that gave me any compliments, so Lou wins.
All right, Lou, and rightfully so.
And you know what? I hope then you will allow me a very short encore poem, and this will be as an answer to B-Rock with something for Valentine's Day themed. Very short. Here we go.
All right, here we go.
Awesome. Let's do it.
When you kiss your honey, when your nose is runny, and you think it's funny, it's not.
Yes!
Oh my God.
That is
Lou,
a dad
awesome,
joke
man.
shit, but I like it. You know?
No,
Oh my God, that's so good. No, everybody's poems individually were actually really.
RJ, did you just
I
shit your
just spit
pants?
club soda and lemon
wasn't
juice
me.
all over myself on that last one.
You just shit your pants, or was that Eva?
Ooh.
That was not me. Girls
I just
don't.
queefed big time.
You don't poop when you fart.
Oh, Lou, you have been such a joy and such a delight to have on
it
our
was a
show.
blast,
Please come
man.
back. Please come back and join us again. We could fill up several episodes just hanging out and chatting with you, man. Thank you.
Whenever you guys want to do it, I love doing it. Essentially, what I love most about my job is sitting around with other music geeks, talking music geek shit.
Hell yeah.
Which is what it's all about. And again, if you don't mind me, I'm going to plug really quick. So the book, Sonic Warrior, get it from Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever you get books.
Or local
bookstores. Support your local bookstores.
Please get it from a local bookstore if you can. Also, I have a coloring book.
Is it
And it's a free coloring book.
Darlorian? Yeah,
The Darlorian.
Here we go.
Here's the new page that's downloadable at loubrutus.com.
It's awesome. It is.
Yeah. And it's free.
awesome,
Just
man.
go to loubrutus.com and download it. And again, Hard Drive and Hard Drive XL this year celebrating the 25th anniversary of the show come 4th of July weekend, and still
Congrats,
over 100 radio
man.
stations around the
That's
country.
amazing.
And glad to do it. Glad to have been the first place to play.
I grew up
Me
listening
too.
to
That's
Hard
right.
Drive
You
XL.
were.
Yeah, I remember I was doing an album premiere special with I think it was Three Doors Down. And they're like, "Oh, we can't believe, Lou, we've listened to you forever. We're so glad to have you doing the special." And I'm like, "Oh, you guys were a band, when you first heard the show?" And they're like, "Well, no, man, we were in middle school. You were already on the radio." But I was like, "Yeah, thanks for making me feel old." I was talking to an intern one day, and
25 years ago, I was 9.
Yeah. We were talking about Live Aid,
It's not
and they
true.
said,
It was
yeah,
zero.
the performance of so and so was great. I said, oh, I was there for it. Live Aid was amazing. I said, were you there too? They were like, dude, I wasn't like born for 20 years yet. I saw it on YouTube, and I'm like, okay.
Well,
Anyway.
on behalf of myself and my band, thank you also for your support and for being a huge part of getting us to where we are today. So I don't think we would be here without you.
The hailstorm train was going to leave the station whether I got on it or not. I just happened to be smart enough to get on early, and because the band was so great and you guys were.
Thank you, man. But it was an honor for us too, man. You're a legend.
And if your mom is still watching, God bless you, and I hope you're well. And let me know when you're around DC. Let's hang out.
Yeah. Let's do
Because for
it.
all you guys. Because for all you guys. Not just Mama Hale. Yeah, and I want to come out to South Dakota because I want to do astrophotography out in the Badlands. So,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I want to do Milky Way shots and stuff out there. So I'll bring my new Ioptron drive. It's a motor drive that moves your camera with the movement of the stars, so you can take really long shots of the stars and you get much brighter and denser starlight with them. Serious nerd shit. This is serious fucking turbo level nerd shit. So
you're good, man.
I appreciate it. Anytime you want to do it, thanks.
Let's do it, man. Anytime. You're welcome back here anytime. This is your new home. Lou Brutus, everybody! We'll see you later, man. Thanks for hanging. Yeah. Let's say Lou Brutus. Computer over there for a minute. Oops. Lou Brutus.
I never even got to ask him about Darla the Wonder Dog.
Oh no!
Maybe we can get some coloring books for him.
Yeah, we have a listener that goes, because we talked about South Dakota, that goes cow sound in 3.
Oh,
2.
No, he didn't do it the whole time.
Come on,
Damn
buttons. Wrong buttons.
Up. Look at that, man.
Come on. God. Okay, my new keyboard is not working.
All right, it's time. It's time, buddy.
Here it is. Oh God.
Not for that.
It happened. Okay, it's gonna happen.
We're wiping the cobwebs off. We've been off for a couple months, so hey, this stuff's gonna happen.
I gotta work on this. I gotta fix up this keyboard anyway. But yes, let's wrap up our first episode on a high note. At least that button worked. And my high note this week is called February is cooler than it is cold. Thank you. I thought of that one. Little play on words. Yeah. February is happening. This is dude, like, come on. Everybody hates on February because of the weather. February is a cold, wintry month. And this year we've seen some crazy snowstorms, freezing temperatures. I mean, even Dan has been struggling to keep warm out there in LA's harsh mid to lower 60s. Mm-hmm. Hey, Dan, I heard you can get a good deal on an Inglewood igloo out there. Yep. Okay. They can't all be winners. There he is, there. We got it. But don't write off February just because of the weather, guys. Come on. There's a lot of neat things in this winter wonderland of a month. It has the Super Bowl, Valentines Day, Galentine's Day, leap years sometimes, President's Day, so you can get a good deal on a mattress. What else? Oh, Abraham Lincoln's birthday, which only makes me think, I wonder why the Lincoln Car Company hasn't jumped on that for some like crazy sale event or something. Have they done that? Matthew McConaughey could do the commercials. Come on, Lincoln. You're missing the boat on this one. Seriously. Oh, yeah. And every February, we still have that weird tradition where we yank a big fat rat meteorologist out of the ground and ask him what the weather's going to be like. He's like, leave me alone, you top hat wearing freaks. Save the top hats for that big Lincoln sale event. Oh, thank you. Yes. There you go. February has a lot of neat stuff in it. Oh, by the way, why is it still called Gobbler's Knob? Right? Gobbler's Knob. Right? Like, why? That's just, I don't know. It sounds like it's not safe for work. Don't Google that on your work names. Yeah. They're band name, right? Anyway, February has a lot of neat stuff in it. Okay, let's give it some credit. One thing that we can't forget to mention, and I feel is the most important of all, February is Black History Month, and we have to. God damn it, stupid button! Just give me something. Give me something. There we go. February is Black History Month. Stupid buttons aren't working. I think it would be a really fun idea to end this first episode with a little history lesson. So there are, in February, most notable American heroes such as Rosa Parks, Maya Angelou, Muhammad Ali, and of course Martin Luther King are rightfully mentioned and remembered this month. But I think that it would be really fun to dive into some more of the hidden figures that caught my interest and leave you with a little history lesson this week. Stop, drop, and talk. Entertainment and learning.
Beautiful.
Here's a few unsung heroes to recognize this year whom you may have never heard of until now. Starting with Claudette Colvin. Few know about this story, but about 9 months before the iconic moment where Rosa Parks refused to give up her bus seat in 1955, Claudette Colvin, at the age of 15, was arrested for the exact same thing. Refusal to move to the back of the bus made her the first woman detained for her resistance, according to my research. She grew up to become a pioneer of the civil rights movement, participating as a plaintiff in the first federal court case to challenge the bus segregation in Montgomery, Alabama, and ultimately helping to strengthen the fight against racial inequality after the case went to the Supreme Court. Although her story isn't as famously known as Rosa Parks, her courage was honorable and deserves to be brought to light. Here's a great little journalist story. Saying Stacky Abbott, I know I'm fucking that up. Journalistic pioneer and world record holder for coolest sounding middle name. He founded a newspaper called the Chicago Defender, which grew to have the highest circulation of any black-owned newspaper in the country. One of the great things this paper ended up doing was getting information out about better economic opportunities for Black Americans in other parts of the country, encouraging many to migrate out of the South. His creative vision with the Chicago Defender has also been credited to inspiring many of the Black-owned publications we have today, such as Essence, Ebony, Black Enterprise, and Upscale. No small feat, I think. Voting rights pioneer and full-time total boss Annie Lee Cooper is just a badass all around. A native of Selma, Alabama, she played a crucial part in the 1965 Selma voting rights movement. Although one of her most famous moments was when she punched an Alabama sheriff named Jim Clark right in the face. Pow! Oh, yeah! You go, Queen! Party! I love it. Jim Clark was a law official heavily responsible for the violent arrests of many civil rights protesters whose brutal tactics included using cattle prods on people. And if you ask me, I think he deserved much more than a punch in the face. Regardless, though, Annie Cooper should be most celebrated for fighting to restore and protect voting rights in America, as well as fighting Jim Clark's face. Oh, yeah! Take that, motherfucker! Hell yeah! In 2010,
Soundboard, man.
in 2010, Cooper died at the age of 100. Amazing, right? Unfortunately, though, she did not live long enough to see her life portrayed on the big screen by none other than modern-day ultimate badass queen herself, Oprah Winfrey.
Hell yeah.
Amazing. In the 2014 film Selma, nor did she get to see the film win several awards, including an Oscar, a Grammy, a BET award, several NAACP Image Awards, and more. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Come on, we're stuck at home. You got nothing else to do. You've already binged on all the superhero movies. Now watch this actual heroes movie. So there you have it. A few examples of the great trailblazers in Black history. And even to this day, more and more modern heroes are out there continuing to break barriers and help us move closer and closer to full equality. We still have a ways to go, but we can get there together if we're willing to keep learning, listening, and communicating. Black history will never stop being written, so I look forward to continue reading, researching, and sharing the things I've learned. Happy Black History Month to us all. Stay blessed, loved, and free-minded. And on that note, I want to thank Lou Brutus, Eva Steele, B-Rock, Dan Cthulhu, and all of our Stop, Drop, and Talkers out there. Please like, subscribe, and spread the word.
Heck yeah.
And don't forget, next week we have NQ Poetry Slam winner. He will be on here. He is also a multi-platinum songwriter. We have NQ joining us next week for season 2 episode 2 of Stop, Drop, and Talk.
Yeah, something like that. Hey, so we'll see you there. Can't wait for
We're
that.
wiping the cobwebs off here, guys.
Woo,
All right,
there
we'll
we
see you for
go. So
two.
don't miss that. Tune in next week, and we'll see you there. We love you guys. Good night.
Stop, drop, and talk.
COVID-19.
COVID-19.